Hello and welcome to another Transmissity podcast. My name's Sarah Maslen-Roberts. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm one of the exec directors of Transmissity. Absolutely delighted to welcome a dear friend of Transmissity's, Steve Keith, to talk us a little bit about some of the things that they've got going on right now, as well as our Transmissity Student Connect program. Steve, welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, Sarah. Yeah, of course. I'm Steve Keith. My pronouns are he, him. I'm the founder and the event director of the Queer Student Awards, which we launched in 2021. About to celebrate our 5th anniversary this year. And I'm also the founder of National Queer Students' Day, which is happening today.
Today, literally today. So let's start with Queer Students Awards then.
Yeah.
So what made you start it? What was the drive behind that?
Yeah, it came out of quite a dark place, if I'm honest with you. I am thinking back to 2021 now, February time. In fact, no, I think it was the end of January. We'd suffered a loss in the family. We had lots going on. There was a lot of upheaval. I'd just moved back from London up to the Lake District, moved back with my family because of everything that was going on with the pandemic. And I was feeling very lost, very confused, and not quite sure what I was going to do with my career and my business that I'd had in place for just over 2 years at that point. I was unfortunate that basically I launched the business and then COVID happened.
COVID hit,
So
yeah.
there was a lot of just keeping your head above water and a lot of time to reflect. And some of the positive reflections that I had during that time were looking at the work that I'd done volunteering with diversity role models.
Yeah.
I'd been going into schools and I'd been sharing my story, my coming out story, a lot about how I navigated my relationship with my parents coming out, which was poignant at the time because I was living back at home as a 20 years later after coming out and having to navigate through that. This is what Steve looks like now. And thinking, what am I really passionate about and how can I use that to drive myself forward? And for me, I always have to be giving back in some way. So I looked at myself as a gay cisgender man and just went, what can I do with my platform? I'm very well known and respected within the student recruitment market, and came up with the Queer Student Awards as a way to give back to young people, create a platform for them to be celebrated, and also strategically in a way as well, work through some of my own frustrations that I had with the industry. I'll be blunt, and I say this to a lot of student employers, I don't think they do enough to engage queer youths.
Yeah.
It seems to always come much further down the list when you're looking at diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so I thought, how can I do this in a way which was fun and engaging and starts the conversation? And that's where the Queer Student Awards came from.
Absolutely amazing. And how has it developed in the last few years? What have the highlights been in the last couple of years?
Very good question. So I guess the first highlight that I remember is 2022 when we took it away from it being a virtual event. So we launched it on Zoom because of the pandemic.
Absolutely.
The first awards ceremony was great, but it was just me sitting in the room that I'm in now with some of the lights and everything, ring lights on me, and somebody else managing Zoom in the background, our fabulous host, Ben, who's gone on to host it for years afterwards as well.
Yeah.
And enjoying the moments of queer joy that came out of that evening. Our winner, Jack, that first year, I remember had tuned in to the Zoom call with the rest of his classmates, and when he won, they started voguing to Lady Gaga. It was just this really surreal moment of just, like I said, sitting in my bedroom and just thinking, look what we've created and it's working, and people are receiving it really well. But it was really frustrating that it was just happening with me and my laptop in one room. So in 2022, once restrictions had started to ease around the pandemic, we took it into a live event and we had our first event in Manchester.
Indeed.
I suppose a highlight there was just the sheer struggle that we had to actually get people there physically. This is going to sound really weird, but by saying this as being a highlight, but So we picked the date, we had the venue, and then the rail strikes got announced nationally, which limited how many people could actually physically get to the venue.
Get to you. Yeah,
But luckily, we had a live stream in place. Our
amazing.
partner, not going to uni, had been running that for us, and so we were able to still bring the event to everybody in a hybrid fashion. So that for me was another highlight. It was managing to deliver the event in both spaces when I'd actually only planned to deliver it in one space. And then 2023 actually managing, to be honest, to deliver the event as I'd always wanted it to be, with nothing going wrong.
It's always a good
Always a
achievement,
good thing. And then last year, a big highlight as well, part of the strategy for the Queer Student Awards is that it's a national celebration, and I don't want it to be stuck in a fixed location every year. I chose Manchester for the first couple of years because it was strategic for me, if I'm honest. I live in the Lake District, so it's easy to travel to and arrange an event in that way. But we decided that it's going to become a national tour. So each year now, from what's happened last year, we moved to Birmingham last year, is going to move to a different city around the UK, because there are queer people all over the UK, and we want to localize the event and make sure that we're drawing on talent. We've got people that are coming along from local businesses, employers, schools, colleges, unis, and really having a huge party in that way. So we've just confirmed the event for 2025 this year, and we're going to be having it in Liverpool at the Royal Liver Building. She's very excited. So that's hopefully going to be another. Yeah.
What a venue. You've got to come to Wales at some point, Steve. I need you to come to Wales. Come and engage with us Welsh people. We'll give you the most amazing welcome. And yeah, you can count me in and other colleagues of mine to support you with that. But it'd be great to see this coming to Wales. And yeah, I'm definitely keen to see if I can make that happen.
I'm going to hold you that to you, Sarah.
Let's
I've got a list I've got Wales requests, I've got Scotland requests, we've got the South Coast request. It is going to move everywhere. My vision is that we're not going to end up in the same place twice for a long time.
I love that. You can make little holidays of it. You can have, nice scenery, you can, it sounds amazing. Absolutely love this. So it's a lot of work though. And I don't think people really understand, unless you happen to have done event managing. We talk about Trans in the City Gala that we put on, and unless you really have that experience of running an event like that, I don't think you necessarily understand quite what it takes. So how can people get involved with Queer Student Awards? How can they help? How can they nominate? What do you need from people listening in?
So I suppose there's a number of different ways. I'll keep it short and sweet and pick three. So the first way will be to nominate people and organisations. So the entries are currently open. They're going to close on the 25th of March. So there's still a good number of weeks left for people that are listening potentially today to enter. We've got categories that recognise young LGBTQ people / students, the schools, colleges and universities, and the employers that they work and are educated at as well. So there's 13 different categories that they can enter there straight away. Another way, if there's any employers that are listening, particularly student employers of brands that are wanting to show some meaningful support during Pride Month, because it does take place during Pride Month each year, then they can get involved as a partner. And then the third way, I guess, would just be to share it. I always say with people, if you can't commit to something in the ways that people are asking you to commit, then it's really easy to share stuff.
Absolutely. Amplify it.
Away. Yeah,
absolutely. And that visibility, that amplifying it, that raising awareness, let's talk about it. And if you can't see it, you can't be it. And I think right now that is incredibly powerful. As we said, that's already a lot of work, but you decided to just stretch yourself a little bit more, give yourself a bit more work to do. And as we said, today is Queer Students Day. So what made you go from running the awards every year to founding Queer Students Day this time round?
I'll give you the honest answer for this one, Sarah, to start with, and then come back with the more strategical answer.
Fair.
which shows some thought into it, because the reason that I originally found it was the day before last year's awards, and I was thinking I want to announce something big for the 5th anniversary.
Yeah.
And I haven't quite got there yet. What will it be? And I went to bed in Birmingham literally the night before the awards. It must have been about 1 a.m. or something. I was finishing off admin and stuff, and it just came to me. I just wrote it down on a piece of paper. And then when I had a quiet moment when we were setting up on the day of the awards last year, I quickly wrote it into my speech and announced it and picked a date as to when it was going to be.
Amazing.
I thought there was things that I wanted it to be. I wanted in terms of in the year, I wanted to just align with something else, so the purpose of it, which is amplifying voices, would happen. So that's why I've picked LGBT plus issue. Yeah. And also wanted it to be something that was student owned. So I would create the platform, but I wouldn't be intending to do a huge amount of work with it. So whilst it is a big piece of work, it's not something that I'm going to be driving. I want it to be student owned. So that was where it came from. And then as the months went on after announcing that, obviously you start thinking, right, I've announced this big thing, now what am I going to do with it? And so the rationale behind it is to amplify the voices of LGBTQ plus students and early career professionals, because there's a lot of interns, apprentices and graduates that get recognised in the awards each year.
Absolutely.
And they're still classed as young people in my eyes. And to give them a platform to be able to share things that are important to them. So we've picked a theme for this year, which is queer power, and we're asking people to share online what queer power means to them. So we've got some examples up on the Queer Students' Day website that have come from some of our previous winners, including our current Queer of the Year from the QSAs, Luna. And people can go on socials as well and just respond and post their own interpretation of it. The reason I picked queer power, really, we've had themes in the past of queer joy, queer liberation from the awards. Power to me was the right word for what we are living through at the moment. There is a sense, I think, from a lot of people that belong to marginalized communities that we don't have power. And I would agree with that, but I think there is also a lot of power that we don't tap into. And so whether that is the spaces where we are heard and we're not heard, whether it's the power in community, the power in allyship, the power, I mean, the awards themselves, when I created them, they were about the power of visibility combined with the power of collaboration.
Absolutely.
Everybody talks about role models and visibility and the importance of being seen, but you can't be seen if you're not in the same room or the same space as other people. So that's why the QSAs celebrate the 3 different areas that they do. It is predominantly a celebration of students, but unless you've got the schools, colleges, universities, and employers in the room at the same time, then you just end up with echo chambers.
Absolutely.
And so the theme of queer power for Queer Students' Day means that we've got that central way of being able to start a conversation and running a workshop later on today. It's free for students. I'm excited to be delivering. That's about how to get your message across. So we're going to be looking at how you identify whether or not somebody is open to your message. And then the power of the communication tools that you can use, because I've got a career that comes on marketing and branding, so I'm trying to lean on things that I can help young people with. And that workshop will help them to tailor their message so that when they do start talking about things that are really important to them, the power of that message gets through.
I love this. I think this is so important. I also think it's, we need to recognize that our current students, our current young people, they're the future decision makers, they're the future leaders. And I feel as if our generation, our main role right now, especially when everything seems so challenging, it seems like so much is in turmoil, It feels like our rights are at risk, and that can feel like we're having our powers stripped away from us.
Mhm.
Actually, our job is to empower and amplify these voices, exactly what you're doing, and empower these young people, these future leaders, to say, and give them a platform and give them a confidence and the school and the skills and the tools that they need to go on. And I think that's where our hope lies right now. I certainly know, I'm an LGBTQ youth worker. I work with young people. I feel so honored that I get to do that. And I think that is where my hope is in all of these turbulent times right now. The hope is in our young people. The no pressure, everyone, but the hope is in our young people that they are going to be the ones that will change the narrative. They are the ones that will change things for future generations. And we kind of have to have that. And I think that theme of power is, I mean, it couldn't be more perfect right now, and it's just so poignant. And yeah, I really thrilled actually. I think it turned out perfectly that you went for that theme. Because we didn't know where we were going to be when you chose it, but yeah, it fits in perfectly. So I think this kind of feeds into it really is, even if it's not this year, because obviously this is going out on Queer Students Day, so it might be that people have tuned in, and maybe even Queer Students Day has been and gone for 2025. I'm hoping it's going to keep running, so 2026. How can people kind of spend a year now supporting you and supporting Queer Students Day, and how can they get involved in the run up to this time next year?
Yeah, no, it's a really good point there, Sarah. And I guess it's interesting because LGBT History Month this year is celebrating its 20th
It
anniversary.
is.
I was privileged to attend an event earlier in the week that was in a collaboration with UK Black Pride, which also
Beautiful.
celebrates its 20th anniversary this year. And both of those massive powerhouses within the LGBTQ plus community have spoken in different ways about how they started off really small before they've got to the size that they are now.
Mhm.
So, and that has come from people, again, sharing, talking, and coming up with ideas. We've got a couple of universities that I know that are running their own events today. Some are choosing to do them later on in the month just because they still want to embrace the day, but they want to just choose the day that they do it themselves because if it works better on their campuses and things. There's always going to be restrictions when you pick a particular day. Not everybody's going to be able to do it on that day.
Of
But I
course.
already love that somebody has picked the idea up and has dropped it 2 weeks later and gone, we're still going to celebrate this, but we're just going to do it a little bit later. I think it was University of Essex from memory. They're doing like a superheroes day or something,
Wow.
which was a great use of the theme of power. Being a huge Marvel fan myself, I was just like, that's blowing my mind that. But it's just about planning ahead and thinking, what can I do with that? Again, for calling out to people, employers, if you're planning, I used to work for a massive student recruiter. Calendars for events and things are planned months in advance. So you've got the opportunity. It's always going to be on the 5th of February every year. That
There we
won't
go.
move.
Good to know.
So whack it in your calendar and start
Hmm.
thinking about how you're going to do that. And if you're struggling for ideas, you can go onto the Queer Students Day website. It's queerstudents.day, really
Yeah,
simple.
really
And
simple.
just drop us an email and just ask, we're thinking about doing this. I would love to be able to connect employers that don't really know how to use the day with young people that have already got the ideas and they can do something collaboratively. It doesn't always have to be behind a closed door or on a Zoom call or something like that. Be creative with it. Interpret the theme. It'll be a different theme next year, but
Of course.
interpret whatever theme and however you want to use the day. The point is to amplify voices. So as long as you've got that in the back of your mind that you're wanting to make a lot of noise,
Hmm.
then that is the best way to approach it, I think.
And what a perfect year with LGBT History Month, the theme this year being activism and social
Yes.
change. I mean, it's joined up working at its best, even if you didn't know it. But again, the power in that, and the power in looking at, how far we've come as a community, but also how far we've still got to go, and how we need to right now hold on to the power of where we are and not let that go. And standing together be it as allies, be it as part of a community, or wherever you fit under that umbrella. I think it's so important to realize the power in standing together
Mhm.
and being part of that social change, and realizing that you're not alone. And we were talking a little bit earlier about actually how powerful that is, and how
Yeah.
it can be really easy to feel isolated right now, and it can feel really really easy to feel alone, and actually that there's so much power in standing together and realizing that you're not alone, and that there are people in your corner, and in every which direction.
Mm.
So on all of that, it links in absolutely perfectly with the fact that Trans-City Student Connect program is also relaunching today. And we have done that literally because of Queer Students Day. So we chose this day because it really made us reflect on what we're doing, and how we can do even better. So our scheme is really powerful. It's there designed to open doors and to remove barriers for particular trans, non-binary and gender diverse students and learners in whatever form they come in. And you mentioned it yourselves: interns, apprentices, those in their kind of early careers. It's really relevant. People who, in whatever form they are, if they're 18 and over, trans, non-binary, gender diverse, and they're in any form of education, we want to open doors for them. And we want to connect them with peer networks, with opportunities, with events. We want to offer in-person things, online things, hybrid things, introduce them to role models, meet and greets, panels, literally anything that they want. We want to be able to open those doors. We've already got opportunities for some work experience and some placements and some insight days that are coming up really, really soon. And I think your whole theme of power links in really well, because we do believe that this program, the Student Connect scheme by Trans-City, can be incredibly powerful. We really want students to know about it and to kind of connect with it. With kind of Queer Students Awards and now Queer Students Day, have you noticed sort of in the work you do as well around that? Because like I said, it's not just now 2 days a year that you're
Mhm.
working and supporting queer students. Have you found a difference in sort of a mindset of the opportunities potentially connected with trans and non-binary students compared to maybe their lesbian, gay, bisexual siblings?
I think there's a lot more opportunities that are out there.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily think that that's because there are more opportunities, if that makes sense.
it
I
does. It
think I,
does.
I think it's because there are a lot more employers, businesses that are committed to and really behind opening those doors
Yeah,
for marginalized communities, including
yeah,
trans and non-binary people.
yeah.
And I think that's where the power of that lies, in terms of the opportunities actually being unlocked rather than them suddenly appearing. The opportunities have always been there. They've not necessarily been accessible, which is where I'm
Absolutely.
coming from.
Or known about, I think. And I
Yes.
think that's where Student Connect can come in and join those dots and build those bridges between future career opportunities, networking events, and those people who really need it. And I think in speaking to trans, non-binary, and gender diverse young people in education at the moment, they do feel, not all of them, of course, but some of them, I'm hearing a lot about how they feel that, we live in Wales, so it's mainly Welsh young people I talk to, and they don't see themselves represented in those big corporate jobs. They don't see themselves. And actually, there are, like you said, there are trans, non-binary, and gender diverse people in those roles, but that visibility isn't necessarily there for every young person, that therefore awareness isn't there. So they believe there's a ceiling to what they can achieve because they're not seeing beyond that. And I think especially right now with the narrative and the media and politics and all of that, we I think that's even more palpable actually, in they're
Mhm.
just seeing a lot of doors being closed rather than opened. And I think that's where Student Connect can really come in. And we're really lucky, we love partnering and supporting Queer Student Awards. And obviously we've chosen Queer Student Day as a reason to relaunch Student Connect as well. And we're looking forward to kind of working more with you and building on our collaboration,
Yeah.
because like you said, we're stronger together
Mm.
and we can achieve so much more. And that's, that's where this works. You amplify our messages and vice versa, and help reach those students who need to know about us and vice versa. So a little bit just to finish off then, what are your hopes in, so you've had 5 years of Career Students Awards. What's your hope when you look back for 5 years of Career Student Days?
Goodness.
Big question to finish on.
Yeah, I mean, there's an element of pride that comes with it. I think when you're people like ourselves and you invest so much time and effort into work that is designed to help and support other people,
Yeah,
you can't help but walk away and take a step back and go, wow, I managed to do that. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I'm not looking forward to the end of QSA 2025 in June
yeah,
and going, we made it to 5 years. Like when we launched it, it was on Zoom, as I said, and I kind of finished that thinking, I'm not sure where this is going to go. Like the world was, the world was in some ways in as an uncertain a place as it's in now for a lot of
yeah,
people.
yeah,
So I take solace in looking back now and thinking, do you know what? That tiny little acorn of event there, look how big it's growing now.
yeah,
So if I don't get that same feeling with Queer Students Day in 5 years, I'll be very shocked.
yeah,
Um, but I suppose 5 years, I'd really love it just to be something that naturally people are just talking about and planning for. As I
yeah,
said, it's not something that I plan to be driving myself. I've put it out there into the world. I've put the date in the calendar. There'll always be some resources and support there if people want it.
yeah,
Um, but it's my gift to the world, I guess. And so in 5 years, I want to be able to just see how this hopefully amazing day is just sprawling its way around the country. And you know what? Like, wouldn't it be amazing as well? Like, a lot of these days and things that are founded within the LGBTQ plus community, you've got things like National Coming Out Day as well and things like that
yeah,
that have gone global. Like
yeah,
it'd
absolutely.
be so nice for it to be a UK grown awareness day, but for people to be latching on all over the world and going, this is the day when we put our hands up and go, I'm here, I'm queer, and I want to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I absolutely love that. So I think just to close then, from my perspective, everyone needs to get involved. There is not a time, more certainly in my lifetime, that I can think of when LGBTQ young people, especially trans, non-binary, and gender diverse young people, have needed us more and have needed us to amplify their voices more. So please, please get involved. Queer Student Awards, Queer Student Day, they don't happen without support. So please take a look at the website, take a look at socials, and see, if you're listening in and you are in a business in the corporate world, if you could be a partner of these events, please, please get in touch with Steve and find out how you can do that. If you're a student or part of a community and you can think of someone to nominate for Queer Student Awards, you've got a few weeks left to do that. Give them that opportunity and just think about the impact you're going to make to those people who get nominated. Just think of a positive impact on their well-being that will happen when they realize they've been nominated by someone for Queer Student Awards. Don't take that for granted, and please, please don't invalidate just how important that is as well. Queer Student Day, let's get the message out. Let's talk about it. Let's get it louder. Let's shout about it. And let's do exactly what it's set out to do. Let's amplify the voices of LGBTQ plus students and those in their early careers across the UK, and then far bigger. Let's get this rolled out across the globe. And last but not least, please get in touch with Trans in the City about our Student Connect programme. Find out if you can offer an event, an insight day, if you want to be part of an online panel, and how you can connect with these students and raise and shatter, in fact, any ceilings they think might be there just because they're true to themselves. Reach out, get in touch, and if you're a student, follow the Student Connect Trans in the City social media and find out a little bit more about what we can offer you and how we can support you. Let's meet other people, let's join up, and let's connect and support and empower one another today and every day, because we need it. Steve, thank you so much for joining me today. It's an absolute honor talking to you. I love having these conversations with you, and it's amazing to have someone with a common passion who we can, support one another in our missions as well. And I don't take that for granted. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, Sarah. I love the work that Trans in the City does, and I will always be there whenever you need me.
And vice versa. We'll keep doing this together, and yeah, we'll keep trying to change everything and make things a little bit easier for others right now.
Yeah, it will happen.
It will happen. It will happen. Thanks so much for joining us, and tune in for the next Trans in the City podcast.